What's up, gamers? And today we're going to be talking about your favorite lightning mommy with the busty damage, with the busty teams, and with the most bustiest of builds as well. So hopefully you don't bust while watching this video, and if you do, make sure you hit that like button. So let's go ahead now and talk about a simple kit breakdown of how she actually works. So essentially, Acheron's going to be having two core mechanics in her kit. Number one is going to be Crimson Knot. Number two is going to be Slash Dreams. Both of these play into doing big amounts of damage for her. Crimson Knot playing into that big juicy damage that you can do, and then the Slash Dreams is what's playing into your ultimate and how you're charging that up, because she has no energy cost. You need these Slash Dreams to actually charge and use her ultimate move. Both of these also kind of play hand in hand with each other, because basically every single action that you're applying a debuff to an enemy, you're getting one stack added to her Slash Dream count. On top of that, the enemy you're hitting with the debuff application is going to be getting a Crimson Knot on them. And basically what these Crimson Knots are going to be doing is whenever she actually launches her ultimate move off, after getting 9 stacks of Slash Dreams, she'll be doing increased damage to the enemies with these Crimson Knots on them. You want to make sure you're stacking these Crimson Knots in increments of 3, because every time you hit a slash from her ultimate move, you will actually be using 3 of these stacks on an enemy. That means if you have a number like 2 or 1-on-1 enemy, you're actually not going to be getting the biggest damage possible on that enemy. So you want to make sure if you're stacking these stacks on multiple enemies, you're stacking them in increments of 3. Really, you want to be focusing on one enemy and getting all 9 on one enemy. Now, if they're lower on HP, maybe you focus on someone else, but the main premise of this is really getting all 9 stacks on one enemy, so you're hitting big bukus amounts of damage on that one enemy, and you're also going to be doing damage to every single enemy around them as well. And those are some of the things that make her so good, but that's not the only thing that makes her so good, because we have yet to talk about her bonus abilities, which one of those bonus abilities is like the cream of her butter, the cream of her crop, the cream in her... That will probably get me demonetized if I say that. Anyways, guys, this additional ability is what's going to kind of make the team, right? Because what this additional ability does is give her a damage increase for every agility unit you have on the team up to 2. That means essentially you want 2 other agility units on the team at all times, unless you have her E2, because E2 lets you run with 1 less, which is really, really good. And if you have Acheron E1 right now, it might even be worth it to go for E2. I'm not going to lie, it's just a very, very big increase to what you can do, and also increases the amount of teams that she can be ran on as well. So that's also very, very massive. But overall, guys, you're going to be wanting to run 2 additional agility units on the team to really take use of the maximum damage potential that she can offer with utilizing her full passive ability. And the last thing I forgot to mention, guys, is her skill move. Her skill move also batteries the ultimate as well. It gives you 1 stacks of Slash Drain whenever you use this ability, and it puts 1 Crimson Knot on the enemy as well. So you're getting Crimson Knot stacks and Slash Drains from the skills. So with that kit breakdown out of the way, let's go ahead now and talk about her busty light cones. Should I stop using busty? Is it cringe? If it's cringe, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue to be cringe. So her best in slot light cone is obviously her signature light cone. Her signature light cone actually gives her a pretty big buff in terms of the amount of time she's able to ultimate, because of the fact that this light cone right here will actually allow her to get 2 stacks of Slash Dreams every single time she uses her skill attack. It's also going to be increasing the crit damage that she does, which means you're able to build into crit rate more. On top of this, it's going to be giving her overall increased damage for her skill attacks, ultimate attacks, and stuff like that, and then an additional ultimate damage increase, which just makes her ultimate do some crazy amounts of damage on top of this. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I don't think this light cone is a must pull. I know a lot of other content creators are like, you gotta get her light cone, you gotta get it. I don't think so, because that's not even necessarily the way that I use my Acheron. How I would normally use my Acheron would be the 3rd best in slot option, which we'll talk about in a second here, but I want to mention the 2nd best in slot option. In my opinion, I didn't have this light cone when she came out. Must be nice. But that is going to be Boundless Cheerios? A light cone with Acheron and her sussy little masseuse, sussy little sneaky link dancing together. You guys know what that's from, right? Hey, I know what just happened there after you watched that little bit. You better go ahead and hit that like button now. You owe me that. Now, in terms of what this light cone is going to do, is it's going to be giving one really big thing to you: increased crit rate. This is one of the things that I think she struggles the most with, is crit rate. I have struggled so much with getting the crit rate up on my Acheron that this has helped me out a lot. On top of this, guys, is going to be increasing her crit damage as well whenever the enemy is slowed or has defense shred, which is actually pretty easy to get when we talk about teams next, because if you use Payla on the team with her, very easy to get. This is hands down going to be the second best in slot light cone that you can use on her, but still not the only light cone option that you have, because this is a 4-star light cone. The 3rd best in slot option, the one that I use most of the time, is going to be Good Night Sleep Well. Good Night Sleep Well just plays off the amount of debuffs on the enemy, right? If you have 3 debuffs on the enemy, you're getting some massive damage increases there, and this is also a very, very good light cone for you to use, especially if you already have things like your crit rate and crit damage in check. Then getting some additional damage off here would be nice, but overall you're getting more value out of Boundless Cheryl because the crit rate and crit damage are almost irreplaceable. She doesn't really give much to herself in that sense, so getting these 2 stats is going to be really, really nice. So let's first start off with her most pay-to-win team yet. If you have her E2, guys, this is going to be Acheron, Jiao Cho, Sparkle, and Aventurine. Now, obviously, the reason why we have Jiao Cho here, he's her bread and butter, right? This is Acheron DLC. Jiao Cho is literally Acheron DLC. Helps her out so much, gives so many debuff instances, which means she's charging her ult up so fast. And then on top of that, Sparkle, guys, obviously you can run Sparkle because she's E2. Action advance her back to the front, give her increased crit damage, give her increased damage overall, helps with skill point efficiency, just makes the team work so much better. And then finally, Aventurine, because Aventurine provides you shield, he can do follow-ups, and then he can launch a debuff off with his ultimate move. Though it kind of sucks in a sense that you really wouldn't want to use Trends of Universal Market here because of the fact that you can't get additional debuff procs off because you're already getting those debuff procs off on those turns. So that's kind of scuffed, but other options you can use on this team, guys. You could obviously replace Sparkle on this team for someone like a Bronny or something like that. You could replace Jiao Cho on this team for someone like a Pela, and then that would give you the ability to run something like Trends of Universal Market on your Aventurine, and then obviously you can replace Aventurine for Gallagher as well. She does unlock a lot of other options at E2, meaning you can run a lot more teams with her, right? It opens up a lot more doors for her. But with that being said, the vast majority of players probably aren't going to have her E2. Hell, I don't have her E2, so you're probably going to be running something on the lines of her second best team now, which is Acheron, Jiao Cho, Pela, Aventurine. This is probably going to be her second best in slot team here if you don't have her E2. Pela, defense down. Jiao Cho obviously is going to be offering vulnerability. And then we already know Aventurine offers another debuff with his ultimate move on top of some increased crit damage there. But like I said, there's always replacements for this team. It's going to be kind of hard to place out Jiao Cho, not going to lie. You can run someone like a Sampo, a Luca, Gwenithan. You can really run any other debuffer in this role here, and it kind of works for her in a way. And then also in Aventurine, you can run Trends of Universal Market there as well. And then on Pela, obviously, you run Resolute Shines of Pearls of Sweat. But I do want to mention the final team that I use the most of, which is a Acheron team. That's going to be consisting of Black Swan, Kafka, and Acheron herself. It works really nice because you're able to get that dot damage off. On top of that, you're able to get Acheron's damage off as well because everyone on this team does offer debuffs. You have 2 inhibitor units, and then obviously you're running your sustain character. So this team can also work. And I do think this is kind of what the future entails for someone like Acheron, because whenever we get more dot add into the game, God willing it's in 3.0, this will also enhance Acheron as well because you'll be able to run Acheron as like a sub DPS in that team, or a sub DPS that does main DPS damage. That's really all I want to mention on teams here. She does get a lot more variety E2, but that doesn't mean she's unusable before that, as other content creators or other people in the space will say, you need her E2! You need to spend everything you've ever made in your life! Give me your life savings! Give it to me, however. Oh wait, no, that's the... Give it to me, player! Give all of your juice to me now! So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about those best in slot relics now. But before we do, I scammed you a little bit. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, gamers. I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. And yeah, I kind of scammed you by the timestamp we had there. But yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, please. I beg, please. I beg of you, please. God. So her best in slot 4-piece set, guys, is going to be the 4-piece Pioneer set. Why? Because first of all, this is going to be giving her increased damage just from dealing damage to enemies with debuffs on them. And then on top of that, I'll be giving you a crit rate and crit damage increase depending on how many debuffs you have on the enemy. At 3, you'll be giving a 12% crit damage increase with a 4% crit rate increase. If you have her signature light cone, you'll also be able to proc a debuff on the enemy. I know, kind of weird that she can't proc her own debuff off with Crimson Knot, even though you would think it would give you that. It doesn't. So if you have her signature light cone, this will be multiplying that effect by 2. So this hands down makes it the best in slot set that you can use, but there are other sets you can use. Namely, one of the new sets that just came out, which is the Scholar Lost in Year Edition. This set is going to be giving you 8% increased crit rate. On top of that, it'll be giving you increased skill and ultimate damage by 20%, and then an additional skill damage increase after using the ultimate move. So these are 2 very good sets you can run. If you don't have any of these sets at 4 pieces, you can run 2-piece Prisoner of the Deep Confinement, and then the 2-piece Scholar set as well, so you're getting guaranteed crit rate, which she struggles and wants so much of, and then you're getting the increased damage to debuffed enemies. All of that works out pretty fine, so I would recommend, if you can't get a 4-piece of these sets, to run a 2-piece Scholar, 2-piece Pioneer. Both of those will help you out tremendously in dealing some good damage with your Acheron. Now let's go ahead and talk about the best in slot planner sets. Yeah, you know the thing you have to farm every week that I hardly ever do, and you might not do either. So her best in slot planner set, guys, to me is going to be the 2-piece Izumo, because this is going to be giving her increased attack, first of all. That's okay. But really, guys, this is going to be giving her increased 12% crit damage if you have another Anhilde unit on the team, which you will have at all times, basically. So this is going to be hands down the best in slot set that you can run on her. I would not recommend running her off this set. There are other sets you can run. Salsado you can run Space Sealing Station, you can run Glamoth, right? All of these sets can be run. I definitely recommend you run Izumo here. It is hands down the best in my opinion, especially if you're struggling getting that crit rate up. 12% crit rate for free is almost irreplaceable. So now let's go ahead and talk about those main sub and recommended stats. First of all, guys, starting off with those main stats. Starting off with the boots first, you're going to be wanting to aim for either attack percentage or speed. On the body, you're going to be wanting to get crit rate or crit damage. If you can get the crit rate over its recommended threshold, then run crit damage. On the planar sphere, guys, is going to be attack percentage or a lightning damage boost. And then finally on the rope is going to be attack percentage. Obviously on the rope, guys, you're running attack percentage because she has no energy requirement. So attack percentage here is really, really nice. But while we're running attack percentage on the sphere versus lightning damage, she gives herself a lot of damage increase in her kit already. So getting that extra attack really does help her out in dealing out damage. So that's why I do recommend attack on the sphere versus lightning damage boost. Also, the reason why I recommend attack over speed here, guys, is going to be completely dependent on how you run her. Personally, I run mine on attack to get some extra damage out because she doesn't really rely on her getting back up in the action order. She relies a lot more on your allies, so you want faster allies to put more debuffs on the enemy, so you're charging up her ultimate more often. That's how I kind of see it, though you can run her with speed if you want to. There will be a damage drop off from that. It just depends on what you have on her currently, right? Like if you have her light cone, it maybe could be more beneficial to run speed on her boots there to get those 2 stacks off every time she comes around. Whereas if she doesn't have her light cone on her, you can't get an extra debuff off. So it's really going to depend on how you want to run her at the end of the day. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the recommended sub and recommended stats now. So for the substats, guys, I would recommend speed, crit rate, crit damage, or attack percentage. If you're going to do speed, I would recommend at least 134 speed. If you have her E2, you're playing her with someone like Sparkle, then obviously you would go for 0 speed here. But overall, guys, you want to be aiming for that 134 speed. If you do run speed on her, you want at least 70 to 80% crit rate. Honestly, I lean more to the side of 80% crit rate because I know how many crits that I miss. It's like if you don't have 100%, you basically hit no crits at all. Ask Dr. Ratio, ask Fei Zhao. They know what's happening, okay? 99.5% crit rate means 50% crit rate, okay, buddy? So just go ahead. I would aim for 80% at least. And then for the crit damage, I would be aiming for at least 160 here. You can get some free crit damage from other places, but overall, focus on getting that crit rate first and then focus on the crit damage after the fact because you want to make sure you can land crits before you're actually really focusing on that crit damage aspect. And as far as attack goes, guys, I would be recommending at least 29 to 3,000 attack. This is kind of like a minimum stat you want to reach here. If you can't reach it, then I would definitely be aiming for more attack substats on your gear. But the most important stat overall, guys, is going to be crit rate, crit damage. If you can get that in check and maybe your attack's a little bit lower than that 2,900, then I think you run with that and just kind of focus on getting better gear in the future. But really focus on getting some of these baseline stats right here before you say, I'm done building her. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Please subscribe to the video. Please do all the things I just asked you to do. It would mean the world to me. Please, please, please. Anyways, guys, yeah, like I said, that's going to do it. If you like my build guide today, leave a like in the comment section down below. If it helps you out in some way, shape, or form, tell me. I would like to hear if you, maybe I was coped out. Maybe I told you the wrong thing. I don't know. Let me know that too. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Later. Bye-bye.